Hey everybody, Alex Kazora, SteelersDepot.com, back with some more Pittsburgh Steelers tape breakdown and analysis. Gotten this question a lot. It's been floated out in the media circles on social media the last couple of weeks. Why is Pat Freiermuth not getting the ball more often? The top line numbers this year don't look terribly impressive. 35 receptions, 354 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I understand that perception, but I think the reality is Pittsburgh is still scheming and attempting to get Freiermuth involved in this offense. Let's talk about it. Before we start, if you guys could like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Would really appreciate that. So the last 3 games, the Commanders, Ravens, and Browns games, to illustrate the situations, the how and the when Freiermuth is getting involved, either the primary receiver, and just the situations in which Pittsburgh is looking to get him the football. So first one here, Pittsburgh operating out of a split back formation. Don't see that too often with the Steelers. Freiermuth, bottom of the screen, isolated, running this little skinny post, and he's the primary on the backside for Russell Wilson, that one-on-one matchup against the Commanders cornerback. This one incomplete, but they call defensive pass interference on this play, and so it's one of those moments where it doesn't show up in the box score. It officially goes down as pass incomplete, no play, DPI, but that's a 20-plus yard completion in a sense, gain, I should say, to Pat Freiermuth. But the point is, they're scheming him up. They're getting him isolated on the backside. Freiermuth is playing as a stand-up, de facto receiver more often under Arthur Smith than he had been in the 3 years prior under Matt Canada. And so that's a moment where it's a good outcome for the offense, just not reflected in the stat sheet or box score for Pat Freiermuth. How about red zone? I've still seen Freiermuth get looks and get things schemed up for him in the red zone. So later in this Washington game, Freiermuth coming in motion, they're going to run a staple concept or boot to the left here. It's going to be this 3-man combination of this flat route, this over route, and this corner route. They run it a million times throughout the season. They dress it up in different ways. It's a low-high read. If the flat's open, that's going to be the primary receiver. Wilson boots left. It's open. Hits him in stride. Chance here for a touchdown. Defender's able to rally, track Freiermuth down in space, but that makes him the primary in the red zone. And if it's open enough, there's certainly potential for a touchdown when you're making this call in the huddle, and you get a nice completion to get you real close in the goal-to-go territory for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. So still seeing him becoming that primary in some of those big critical situations. Take one look at it from the end zone view. Freiermuth motioning to his right. He'll come back to his left. The offense is left. Primary read here. If he's open, you hit it. They do. It's a nice game. Just a couple plays later, and I'm showing the down and distance first. It is 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line, tie game, second quarter, and so it's a gotta-have-it moment. Who are you scheming the football for? Is it going to be George Pickens? Will it be somebody else? It is Pat Freiermuth. So 3-by-1, getting this kind of loose bunch here from Pickens, Freiermuth, and Van Jefferson, and they're going to run a pick play. Getting man coverage down the red zone, you're going to run these picks and rubs to put these defenders in conflict, to force them to try to go over the top of one another or banjo and pass things off, really stress those guys. Jefferson running that one-step curl, essentially, just going to stop, turn around, not even going to attempt to try to really set a true pick. Don't want to get called for OPI. That happened in the Denver game, took a George Pickens touchdown off the board, so it's a nice job here from Jefferson to just be a speed bump, essentially. Just going to turn, create this kind of pick. We're not going to really even look at the defender to give any sort of impression to the ref that we're actively setting it, but we're going to create that traffic, force him to go over the top, work through the trash. You get Freiermuth on the flat route underneath. He's wide open. It's a touchdown in the red zone. So 3rd and goal, big time moment. You're tied at 7. The calls are still being schemed for Pat Freiermuth to get the football. We're seeing Freiermuth release last year that allows Jefferson to set that pick. He's the primary read. It's open. It's a nice scheme, and it's designed for Pat Freiermuth. Similar to the second clip we looked at against Washington, same concept. Freiermuth motioning this time to his left, then coming back to the right here in the red zone. He's the primary. Now this one's taken away. It's defended well by Baltimore. Wilson just has to throw it out of bounds, but the point is I'm still seeing Smith scheming things up for Freiermuth to be the primary receiver in some of those more weighty situations. 3rd down, red zone, third down in the red zone, and it just doesn't work out here. It's defended well, and Wilson under some pressure from the unblocked defender. That's by design. But then the DB looks like Marlon Humphrey comes down, takes Freiermuth away. Everything's covered, nothing there. But again, the point is, it's not always about the outcome. It's about the process in terms of, are they still trying to get a guy the football? I think they are. Just doesn't always get shown in the final results and the stats. Couple plays later, same drive against the Ravens, 3rd and 8 on the 14. So third down, red zone, really critical situational football. 3-by-1, bunch of the bottom, Freiermuth isolated to the top. So if they get the right matchup here, he can become the primary. And if they like the look, then they can get him the football. So I'm still seeing Freiermuth schemed a lot, isolated backside. That did happen under Matt Canada. It's not brand new under Arthur Smith, but I think I have seen a frequency uptick in terms of Freiermuth being used in this way. Now it's taken away overall. The corner's playing off. Got a safety here in the middle. But if that corner was super outside leverage, if they were rotating away, that is certainly an option there if the look is right. So that's one of those pre-snap checks where you check your isolated guy backside. If you like the look, you can target it. If not, you can work the trip side, progression. So I'm just talking about scheme, what the intent and possible reads of the play are. Now this one, everything's covered. Red zone issues abound still. Wilson gets smacked, and this one goes out of bounds. But point is, I'm just talking about what is the alignment, who is the potential primary receiver. We're seeing Wilson check that there initially, then come back to his right, and then the play kind of falls apart from there. But still seeing Freiermuth get involved and be in position to win if the coverage dictates it in those big critical moments. Another example, 3rd and 3 at the Ravens 41-yard line later in the game. Pittsburgh here going to motion Jalen Warren working at a 2-by-2. Here is Pat Freiermuth, number 2 to the top. Going to run a simple concept, try to get the first down. Hank concept, so you're going to get these curl flat combinations with an over-the-ball route from Freiermuth. He's going to run just a little 5-yard curl, sit down against zone coverage. Wilson hits Jalen Warren instead. I think, Freiermuth probably open on this play, and typically in Hank, that over-the-ball route is that primary read, that number 1 read, and maybe settled a little too far. Typically, we'll look at it from the end zone view. You're settling right over the center, and so he's settling probably at the right landing point on the hash here. Could he have kind of adjusted his route and sat down a little bit more away from that, linebacker, potentially? But I still think in this moment, you could hit that, obviously, and Freiermuth being a sure-handed guy might take a hit, but probably going to, pick up that first down. Instead, Wilson goes to Warren short of the sticks, and so, this is a situation where I see 3rd down, 3rd and short. You're right on the edge of field goal range in a tight game against Baltimore. They're running Hank. They're scheming something up where Freiermuth certainly can get the ball. I think Wilson kind of misread it on this play. He's looking at the slant flat to his left, and comes back and hits Warren on the check down. Never really even looked at Freiermuth. Probably should have on this play. I think they convert and pick up that first down. So just talking scheme, what the intent of the play is. Freiermuth, to me, in position there to be primary read on 3rd down. Now let's go Browns game. Early in this game, 3rd down, 2-by-2 formation. Pickens and Freiermuth stacked at the top here, scheming. Freiermuth open, nice stem, outside release here initially to widen the DB. Then breaks back inside. It's a great ball from Russell Wilson. It's a good yak ball. Lets him run after the catch, away from that diving defensive back. It's a big conversion on 3rd down. And so I'm talking situational football, red zone, 3rd down. Still seeing designs for Pat Freiermuth. Good scheme here. Use that stack to create that release. Pickens, a little bit of traffic, a little friction here for the DB. Nice route by Freiermuth. Good ball from Russell Wilson. It's a big time conversion. So still seeing these things on tape. Late in the first quarter, Pittsburgh back to their tried and true boot game. This one, I would say, wasn't really schemed for Freiermuth, but you talk about missed opportunity and the difference between if this play hits, what a box score, what a season stat line could look like. And so, same boot as before, just in different ways. We're getting this flat here for Washington. Pickens on the crosser. He's the number 2 read. Freiermuth number 3 on the corner. This one, everyone's, the Browns defense playing super aggressive, playing the flat, playing this over route, leaves Freiermuth all alone, and the ball's not thrown yet. Wilson, if he sees it, Freiermuth is wide open, putting up the old mailbox saying, hit me. The coach is down here saying, hit Pat. If he hits this, if Wilson can see it, there's no one within 10 yards of him. And I don't know for sure if he scores, but it's going to be a 50-plus yard play that may end up in the end zone. And so just a missed opportunity there. Now, again, the progression is low-high. They don't usually hit this third read, this corner route. It's pretty rare that occurs. It's usually the flat or the over route number 2. Wilson looked flat, didn't have it initially, went back to number 2, didn't see it, then came back to number 1 in Washington late for just a couple of yards. But yeah, that one, you certainly kick yourself on the tape watch the next day and say, yeah, or even that drive, really, because everyone's got the video on the tablets now. But you sit there and say, man, we had that one. If Wilson just sees it, it's a huge play, a game changer. Who knows what happens from there? But Freiermuth's day, which wasn't bad overall, 4 catches for 59 yards. It looks a whole lot better if Wilson just happens to catch that one. So that one I wouldn't say was really schemed for Freiermuth, but just an unfortunate outcome where it is wide open. And again, this is not because the ball's out and they're all rallying at that point. They are coming downhill. They're leaving Freiermuth alone. The Browns have busted coverages this year. I mean, this ball is not, he's releasing about at this point, but again, they're all starting to come down at this point. Actually, he's not releasing. He's still, kind of deciding. And so that's about when Wilson's throwing the football. But again, even before that point, these guys have all committed. This is not reactionary to where the ball is actually gone. And Freiermuth just wide open. And you can see as soon as Wilson throws it, Freiermuth a little animated there saying, man, we had that one. So again, I think overall, I know the numbers are muted. There's other factors. You're playing in a run-heavy offense that does not throw the ball a ton overall. You're playing in the Arthur Smith scheme that still spreads the ball around. Unless you are a George Pickens or a number 1, your volume is not going to be super consistent or super high-end. And so there's a lot of other factors to consider. Darnell Washington getting more involved in the pass game as well. So those are all reasons why Freiermuth's numbers have come down. Also things like Freiermuth is not a great blocker, so he's been taken off the field in some of those moments. In this Browns game in particular, a lot of chips from the tight ends on the pass rush, and especially Myles Garrett. And so when those guys are chipping, they're less of the progression. They're more leak outs and check down type options than they are primary options in the progression. So a lot of factors at play of why his numbers are down, which they are a bit. But I still see Pittsburgh attempting to get him the football, especially in those critical situations. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. And of course, check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.